Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Doug here, back with another bonus episode and some producer notes to go with it. This was absolutely my favorite haunt of the year, but in all my excitement to go, I did forget my voice recorder, so the first half of this is recorded on my iPhone. I cleaned it up as best as I could. You can hear both me and Taylor as well as you possibly can. So I hope you guys enjoy that. The second half is an interview with Lindsay about her experience as a haunter, and that's recorded on the full setup, so that's a lot more of a pristine sound. But I'm really proud of this episode, and I want to just thank Taylor and Lindsay for being a part of it. And this was the definitive best part of my whole, at least the haunt portion of my trip. So I'm happy to put this out, and I hope you guys like this, and I'll see you on the next one. Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Doug.
And it's Taylor.
Oh my God. We're getting all these guests.
Oh yeah.
And this is Good Suffering, here with a bonus episode reviewing the Phobius haunted house.
Incredible.
God, I'm already blanking on the name of the town.
Missouri.
Truesdale? Thank you, because your grandma lives there.
That's right.
Oh my God. Taylor's got my back.
It was really good.
We're going to first I'm going to apologize for not recording something prior. We were just trying to get there. We're on our way to a Rocky Horror Picture Show screening. It's both of our times seeing the movie in theaters with the whole, shadow cast and whatnot.
Right.
That's super exciting.
Very exciting.
But, yeah, we just finished. I got a cool t-shirt. We did two of the two things they have to offer this year, which is their super duper long, awesome haunted trail. And the the coffin experience is the last ride. Yeah, the last ride was the name of it, and that was super cool too. We'll get into that later, but I'm also going to take this time to plug Taylor's great podcast,
Incredible,
The Misadventures of T-Fi and Svobo, which you can find on Apple Podcasts. Are you on any other streaming sites? Are you on
We're on Podomatic.
Okay.
Other than that, though, just Apple Podcasts.
Who's your we'll talk about that later.
My cool co-host, Claudia Swoboda. She's a great friend of mine. Been friends since 6th grade. Highly recommend checking out my cast. It's just all over the place about me and Claudia's lives. It's a great time. I do recommend it. I'm a little biased, but it's a good time for sure.
Super fun, super funny, and they've come a long way since the very beginning. They have more episodes than us now. Jesus Christ, you're on 30-something.
Yeah, every week.
Every week, yeah, they're pumping them out better than we are.
Uploaded on Mondays.
So, all right, so we went to Phobius, and the ride was fun. It was about a half-hour drive from where I'm staying out here in Missouri. Shouts out to the incomparable Marissa Connersman for housing me and my girlfriend while she's away. So we went out there. Full disclaimer before I get into this. My girlfriend Lindsay, who you heard on the previous bonus episode of our Chicago Haunts, does work here, so I might sound a little biased, but genuinely everything I say is from the heart, and I mean it. This was, out of all the haunts that I've been to for this year, which is all the haunts I've ever been to outside of Halloween Horror Nights, was probably the best. And they didn't have fancy animatronics. They were only outside on a very cold night. They had these long stretches of just nothing, just blackness.
Yeah, that was scary.
Every little bit of it, all of this lo-fi-ness that Phobius had going on just worked to its advantage in a way that I'm genuinely impressed by. Just these long stretches of dark woods where you're just on a trail. You got the lantern as your only light. You don't know who's going to pop out when. It's just a tension-building extravaganza with genuine scares. I haven't jumped like this since Field of Screams. Even Waldorf didn't make me fucking jump out of my goddamn vans. So, but this was great. Every scare just landed. The actors were committed. The actors had interesting roles. I felt like it was just a cohesive experience, and I was happy to share it with Taylor.
I'll definitely go ahead and say, like, there were genuine parts where I was, like, scared. Like, the only ever horror, what are they called? Haunt I've ever been to is Six Flags Fright Fest, which probably doesn't count.
So you're like me. You've done like a couple of like the big things.
Yes.
Like family. It's really teetering on the edge of family friendly. It's a totally different experience.
100%. So this was like the first one I've been to like that, and there was a point where like I was scared to the point that I was like, oh my god, like what's gonna happen? Like I couldn't see. Like I was like scared. All the actors, again, like Doug said, were super committed to their parts. Did incredible at staying in character. Like I was very impressed by everyone tonight. There were a lot of references that I would relate to other things that other people probably didn't, but I've been watching American Horror Story and other things where I've been relating things. But yeah, overall it was definitely a really cool experience. I'm glad I went. Well worth the money if you're in the Missouri area, St. Louis. Definitely go out and check out Phobius.
Or just drive 14 hours out here from New Jersey.
That's right.
Like I did. I really loved some certain parts. Like there was just great moments where you couldn't even see the actor. It was just noises. They were in the woods. It didn't have to be just directly in front of you. It didn't have to be like these big elaborate sets where you know you're walking up to a scare. They had people in the goddamn trees, man. I've never seen that.
That was like truly impressive.
That was really, really cool. I mean, it caught some of the cliches of haunted houses, like, oh, the come play with me thing, and the get out thing, and all of that. But it was overall just super fun, and they would give these 1-2 punches sometimes where you're looking at a certain you're looking at a certain actor who jumps out at you, and then you're like, your focus is kind of on them because they just popped out, and then boom, out of the other side somebody's coming. They had guys in these black robes that you couldn't see until they were right in front of you.
Yes.
They used fog and mist to their advantage in a really, really great way.
Incredible at the end.
Yeah.
I was definitely like shaking in my boots towards the end there.
If you've listened to these bonus episodes and me go on with these haunts, you've noticed that I really, really like when they try to disorient you, and they did that really, really effectively here. I felt the craftsmanship in this, and I felt like the theater inspiration, but it also had like this genuine scare factor to it, and it all worked.
I'll say too, one thing that I was really impressed by, and again, I haven't been to a lot of haunted houses in a while, but at the beginning of the night, someone said this girl's name, Amanda. And like throughout the whole entire show, they were playing on this girl's name, and it like blew my mind how well like everyone was sticking to like this girl's name. Like,
amazing communication.
Right? Yeah, I was so impressed by that.
Mm-hmm. It was super fun. I don't know how they were getting in touch with each other, but they were just, everybody was on, and it felt like it was part of a whole thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't even think I got that from much bigger productions like Field of Screams, like Hell's Gate and Statesville, where they have this huge budget and they have this big area to play around with, many more actors. Mm-hmm. This was just it's in its own league. You know, I would compare it most closely with Waldorf, where I was prior to coming here.
Was that in Chicago?
No, that was out in Pennsylvania. That's where they shot Hell House LLC. Okay. And that was a real small production, but it was super fun, and it had this cohesive familial feeling to it. Mm-hmm. And this definitely had the same thing and worked on an even better level, in my opinion. If all these haunts that I've been going to, and I've got more tomorrow, I just like, this was worth the trip on its own. Honestly, this was so fun. Yeah,
I can't give it to these actors enough. Like, there was times where like, see, I can't be a serious person, and in that situation, I probably would have broke a million times with the things people were saying. At least just in our group, like with the amount of people going through that
Skinnered from Tinder or whatever.
Yeah. People making killer jokes. Like, I would have broke. But like that's why I can never be an SNL cast member. Like, that's why I can never be any sort of cast member. But like, these people were insane at staying in character. I was very, very impressed.
You know, I always, drool over animatronics and makeup and set set dressing and stuff, just coming from a movie background, you know, I love that. But it really proved that a good haunt only needs to rely on its acting. And I would say shouts out more than anybody else to the great actors there. And also the people who dressed the set and whoever decided, like, just how they're going to, you know, do this haunt with those long stretches of darkness, and you never feel safe. You never feel like somebody could come out. The first time you see somebody come out of the darkness where you just think you're transitioning from another set, or the first time you hear somebody scream and you can't see them, that instantly puts you in this level of anything can happen at any time. And it just works, and it's super cool, and I loved it, honestly, and I really wish I could be more critical and not sound so goddamn biased, because it's my girlfriend's fucking job, but it was just a blast, and I had a really, really good time. And we were breaking the tension with some talk between us, talking about video games and stuff, but we were always on alert, and we were always just in there, you know what I mean?
Yeah, even when I thought I was safe, I knew I wasn't. Like there would be like Doug was saying, this long stretch of period where you're like, oh, I can relax for a second, but like you literally couldn't. Like even when you thought that, like in the back of your head, you're like, I cannot stop like keeping my guard up for this moment. But like the whole thing, I know Doug mentioned it like a lot earlier, but there were like people in trees. Like I 100% did not expect that.
No.
And it definitely added to the fact that like, whoa, anything could happen in this haunt. Like,
I think this honestly, like, I don't like the chainsaws. They just freak me out. That's like really what it is, the easiest way to get me. But the scariest thing was when that dude ran up behind us towards the beginning. And I was just like, oh shit, because we had a few people follow us. But like when they're walking the same pace as you sort of get a slight level of comfort. But like when you hear those footsteps behind you and you turn around and somebody's just running at you. That was it. That was like, oh my God. Like if I'm like right on the edge of just like pushing everybody out of the way and going. Bolting.
Yeah. No, there was a point where like I didn't mean to, because like I'm not a touchy person at all. But there was a point where like when we were leaving, I like had my hands against like someone's back because I was like, oh my God, like I need to get out of this situation.
We locked arms in that mist in that room at the end where like we just couldn't see. I felt like I was gonna bump into somebody.
I had like my hand. I felt like Frankenstein. Like I've told this story a million times, but like I went to a show one time and was totally blacked out. I had my hands out, and I was like taken back to that moment where I couldn't see a thing, and I just felt like Frankenstein.
Christ, it was just super fun, and it was a great atmosphere, and they had a guy shooting his music video there, and that was fun.
I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, I mean, it felt cool. It felt like it wasn't huge, but it felt like everybody who was there wanted to you know what I mean? And everybody who was doing it wanted to do it. It wasn't about a paycheck. It wasn't about...
Very dedicated.
Yeah, it was just like they were happy with what they were putting on, and I think that just shone through what it is. But afterwards, I tried to pick up a t-shirt, and they didn't have my size, so I wound up having to do a thing at the front for this special t-shirt that I got. Like that was like for... Which wound up being cheaper, like half price. Right. But like that was like part of their deal where like you pay and you get like extra tickets to do some stuff, and you get to basically do everything at the haunt, which I basically bought the package that was everything but the t-shirt, and then just upgraded because I was going to try and grab a different one. But I love this one. Yeah. And what's cool is like it says something like before there was the manor, there was Carney Road, which was cool. It just like is really for this year before they put in their full house, because they're sort of in a transitional phase right now. Okay. But they were making the best of it. Like I was expecting like a little bit of roughness at the edges, but they just made everything work.
No, yeah. I'd also like to say too, I guess, I don't know when the season necessarily stops, but like Halloween's in 10 days?
Yeah, I think that's their last day is going to be Halloween. Yeah,
it kind of breaks my heart that I don't get to like kind of like go to like more stuff like this before that season ends. Maybe next year.
Yeah, next year, definitely. Like, I think, everybody who goes and really likes it gets bit by that bug, you know what I mean? Of like, hell yeah, like this is sick.
No, it ruled for sure. Yeah. I was very, very impressed.
But, afterwards, we went to the last ride little experience they have.
Yes.
Which I was, I didn't know what it was. They said it was coffin related, and it wound up being really cool. And Taylor went first. We've got some pictures and videos from both of our experiences.
That's true.
In it. It was about a minute and a half where they lock in a coffin, total darkness, couldn't see anything.
Yeah.
And basically simulate being buried alive being like dragged in like a carriage
Very
on the
Kill
road, and then
Bill-esque.
like, yeah, you mentioned that. You were like, ooh, it's gonna be just like Kill Bill, and it was spooky, and I just had a bit of a blast doing that, and it just was like this whole thing was like this perfect mesh of fun and fright that I am exactly looking for in a haunted house. You know, I thought I would want like a really deep story like they had at Hell's Gate. I thought I would like a really cohesive theme like they had at like Waldorf, but this was just the perfect blend of everything right about haunts. And overall, it was super fun, and I can't wait to do more. And I'm glad I did it with my good friend Taylor File with a little registered trademark after.
I'm glad I'm with my good friend Doug. I'd like to say too about the whole thing with the coffin is I was impressed because it wasn't just like, hey, you're going to be thrown into this and it's going to be like total nothing.
Mm-hmm.
It was, you got the whole experience of being like dragged to this. Like you heard like voices like talking, like you were dropped in, you felt like the whole coffin moving. It was super, super impressive.
It reminded me of, you ever go to like one of those like arcade type places or like more of a teenage Chuck E. Cheese where they have those like 4D kind of simulator rides where it's like moving you around, you feel like you're on a roller coaster or something, but you're really not.
Yes.
It reminded me of something like that.
I totally
but like
understand
the horror
that.
version. Super fun.
Right. Totally awesome.
But yeah, do you have any last thoughts on the whole thing?
I think my last thought, I said it earlier in the night. I definitely wish I would have went to this earlier.
Mm-hmm.
I think next year I'll definitely be going to a lot more.
Hell yeah.
So
Maybe
shout
we'll
out to
get
my
some
good
more-
friend Lindsay. Shout out to my good friend Doug.
Some more bonus episodes next year.
Right.
But cool, thanks guys. After this, I'm gonna cut in with a little bit of an interview from Lindsay I'm gonna record later, talking about her experience with haunting and being an actor there, and I'm probably gonna give her a lot of praise because she was fun.
Yeah,
I didn't even mention her specifically. She was some sort of voodoo priestess, and she was great, and she saw me and Taylor, and she's totally stayed in character. She didn't, she treated us just like any other guests, like very dedicated to her role, and I appreciated that more than her like trying to like kind of talk to me or anything like that. Just kept with it. And every actor did that, no matter what kind of like funny lines you would throw at them.
No, they did incredible.
They told us to sing them a song, and I was like, hey, do you like Creedence Clearwater Revival?
They did not like Taylor Swift.
They didn't like Taylor Swift. No, you were disappointed by that.
I was very disappointed.
But overall, super fun. Can't stress that enough. And thank you guys, and see you after the little edit that I do. Hee hee. Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Doug, and I am here with Lindsay, who you've heard on a couple of the previous episodes of the podcast.
Yes, I'm here.
And we are here to talk about her experience working as a haunt actor over the past couple of years, specifically at Phobius, which I loved. I thought it was a great haunt, really cool. Did the best with
I'm
what
excited
they
to hear
could
it.
do. Yeah, you're not going to have heard the first half of this episode.
Nope.
So, hey, you'll hear it all together.
Surprise!
So, last year you worked at a really big haunt.
I did.
You worked at a haunt doing really big numbers, a lot of actors there. And now you're working at a more, a smaller, more, community-based haunt.
Indeed.
Where there's like the actors are really part of a community, and they're really, it's not just like a bunch of people. You don't really get to know anybody except for like your scene partners and whatnot.
Yeah.
This is like a whole thing. How does that? Seeing haunts of both sizes. I understand the difference as like the customer, but how does that affect you as an actor? Do you feel like you have more space to work? Do you feel like you just like aren't getting like what are the pros and cons of making that transition?
Ooh, pros and cons. I guess the big one is when you work with a lot of people, there are more people there, period. So it's like you don't have to work as hard because you're already surrounded by like 8 people as well. So it kind of makes it easier on you. I mean, I still go all out, but it's also like there isn't as much pressure to like really scare somebody, I suppose. But I think the biggest pro for me this year has been everybody's been willing to work with me in a sense of like I can go to just about anybody and ask for advice, whether it's about, what I want my scares to be, or like how I want to look, or like what kind of voice I should use, or I mean, coming up with, you know, like a whole backstory for my character and stuff like that. That's kind of been more doable this year than my previous experience at another place.
So yeah, Phobius, which is where you work. I don't know if I even I specifically mentioned that, right?
I think so.
Okay.
Shit.
So at Phobius, you did a lot of the prep work for the haunt too. You were there a lot to, you know, kind of build some of the scenes. You know, going through what sections did you build? Were you building your own section where you worked, or were you like all over the place?
I mean, I basically just took the, I guess I made the action to just show up. And as a first year, they don't really know what I'm capable of. And I didn't even know what I was capable of because I've never actually like been a part of it. But it's all a new location. It was, you know, started from scratch since, you know, probably I think March was the last time that the old house had a show. So all of that, I mean, it probably wasn't as long ago as March, but I mean, that's how new it is. Even if it were March, like that's still like super new.
Right.
So I just kind of showed up on my available days, and I was just like, I'm here, give me direction, and I'll do it.
Fair.
So I put batteries in everything, not everything, but I don't know if you mentioned the lanterns in the first thing.
I don't remember if we talked specifically about the lanterns.
Okay. Well, the cool thing...
You were setting up all the lanterns?
I put batteries in all of them.
Ours, like, they had to slap a couple times to get it to work.
Really?
So, yeah, good job on the batteries.
Sorry. I made sure they all worked, like, after I put them in. But, yeah, I like that about Phobius a lot, personally, is that it's, you know, in the woods. And
Did that play a factor into how everything was staged? Because it was very dark.
what do you mean?
It was like, were they a little, like did the fact that it was going to be so dark for so much of it play into how they dressed all the different sets? Did they think about that at all?
Oh, yeah, of course. But, I mean, there's definitely lights still, and, like, the placement of lights matter, and,
right.
You know, strobe lights and that.
If not more so. You know what I mean?
Yeah, especially with, like, the lights. Like, the lanterns that are, like, hung up in the woods and stuff like that. Like,
yeah.
You know, those are placed. I mean, it's supposed to be dark. Like,
right, of course.
It's in the woods, but, you know, like, lanterns are placed in places where it's, like all the, like, things that you want to be seen, but, like, they make the right kind of light so that it's spooky.
Right.
Like, obviously, like, I talk about the doll area a lot because, like, that's probably the one that I put a lot of effort into, personally. But, you know, I placed a couple of lanterns in there to be like, ooh, this is a cool doll. Or, like, you know, if you, like, walk past it, like, I kind of, like, walked and, like, oh, this is something that I would want to be seen. So stuff like that, definitely. And, you know, like, my scene's, like, a big one. And it's like, okay, so then they put, like, a big light to, like, shine on that because there's a lot of cool stuff in that one spot. I still forgot what the question was. I'm just kind of talking. That lights matter. Yeah, I mean, I guess the question was about actually doing... the question was about actually doing work to make it happen, like, before even, like, getting in the scenes and acting for customers. Like, so much work goes into it. And, like, when you said I did a lot, I was like, I didn't do a lot. I put batteries and lanterns, but I just went there to do what I could. And it was hard work because it's a mile-long trail. So if you wanted to go to, you know, the middle area, and the only way to really get through is to walk, you know, from the back or from the front, like, half a mile. Right. That's a lot of work, especially when you are carrying, like, heavy objects or, like, doing a wheelbarrow. And, you know... I know a lot of people have been putting so much more work than I have because, I mean, they've had more time than me. But that's the coolest thing about it is that we're just that passionate about it. Right. It's not just, you know, someone buying stuff and just placing it places. Right. They have people who are passionate about this and are like, I want to come in. Like, I asked off work a couple times because I'm like, I want to go up and help Phobius. Like, I want this to be as cool as it can possibly be, and I want to be a part of that. Because, like, some of the people I work with are just so cool, and they're so creative and so good at acting on top of the art part and like they can build, and that's one thing I don't really do. I don't do the actual building because tools scare me. A lot of things that can hurt me scare me, which are most things in the world, and I'm very sensitive. Oh.
Have you guys gotten a lot of positive feedback about the way you've dressed all the sets and whatnot? Like, has the look gotten any kind of praise?
Something I wanted to do recently was go through some reviews and stuff. Shoot. I mean, I feel like a lot of people who walk through are pretty much diehard Phobius fans, and they have been.
Right.
Because there are so many good people working there that people just like them and like support them, and that's so cool. That's so cool. It's not. Right. It's just like, it's such a community. It's amazing. Yeah, I think that's something that I think happens is it's recognized how much work has been put into it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's like
so quickly into a new location.
Right.
It seems like.
And being like all outdoors versus all indoors, which I think was the old place.
Mm. How much free reign do you have over your character?
Honestly,
are you like, and I guess that's a general question for most people there, because I know there was like Mortimer Crow, is that the name?
Yeah.
And I know there were a few spots where I was like, okay, that's a specific thing going on.
Mm-hmm.
But like for the general actors, like how much of that is scripted by I guess the leaders or whoever's
like the owners and stuff,
trying to figure out the story, or how much do the actors get to put of themselves and their own ideas into the characters?
Honestly, like almost 100%. Like if you have an idea, you just bring it by and you're just like, how do you feel about this? Mm-hmm. Like if I have a specific line that I want to say and I'm like, oh, I don't know if it fits, like mm-hmm. I'll tell them, or like they walk through.
Right.
So like if they see me doing something that they don't like, they'll be like, try this instead.
Right.
But they're never like, that was a stupid thing to do. Like,
right.
They are very supportive. And I think, like, Mortimer, it's like, I don't know if he started off as, like, you are going to be Mortimer. It was like, your character, this is the type of character it is. Mm-hmm. And then you kind of create your own thing.
Right, right.
I mean, I can use my last year's character as an example, is like, oh, you're a cannibal incest. Mm-hmm. Texas Chainsaw.
Right.
And then I just kind of went with it. And it's like, okay, so I have this pig baby. And other people like said like, oh, my dad threw me into the pig, whatever you call it, the
pig pen.
Pig pen. And then I gave birth to this pig baby. And I was like, I wasn't as big of a fan of that as I was just like the incest thing.
Mm-hmm. It's you're a fan of incest.
Oh my god, I love Texas Chainsaw. That was the thing. It's like, yeah, that was a little bit of a backstory. That's why I have a baby, and that's why, everybody's after you, and like we all want everybody to be here for part of the family. And
do you feel like do you have more control over your character now or less?
You mean like
between your last year and this year, between the two haunts?
Do you mean like free reign as in like creating my own thing, or like
doing your own thing with it, what you're allowed to say and whatnot?
I mean, they're both pretty similar in like things that I'm allowed to say. I probably would have had more freedom last year because there wasn't as much story to it, mm-hmm. I suppose. And last year I kind of worked in my own spot.
Right.
And then this year I share a spot with one person.
Well, how is that then? How do you like working with somebody else? Do you feel like it's a different dynamic than just doing your own thing?
Oh, it's so different.
Do you prefer that? Do you?
I don't really have a preference. I just like working with somebody who is willing to also work with me. Mm-hmm. Because if we just keep bouncing ideas off each other, like a lot of groups come in. You can just be like, okay, for this next group, let's do what we did, but let's tweak it this way. Right. And then we just kind of like have to figure, like you do have to work together. Mm-hmm. And like if timing is off on either one of your parts, it's like, it's a bummer because like those people are only probably going to walk through one time.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Which, I mean, I guess that kind of exists when you're by yourself, too. If your timing's off a little bit, you don't scare them, like, then they just kind of look at you and you're like, I'm aware of what I just did, but I'll make it better for the next scare. But it's like, oh, we do this with 2 people. I messed up. Oh, I'll fix it. But then they messed up because, like, the timing, I don't know. It just... It gets
Seems
a little
more stressful.
It gets a little... Yeah, it definitely is. Because a lot of the time, I just come up with stuff on the spot. Like, I definitely am more of, like, an improv type of person. Like, I like actually talking to customers, like, in response to what they have said to me. Like, there was a ton of that last year, but this year it's kind of been... I feel like that's been a little bit less. And, like, it's not something that, like, they don't allow or anything like that. It's just that I haven't really gotten any comments that are, I guess, funny. My character last year was very funny, so, like, I can always, like, do those, you know what I mean?
Right.
But now all I get is, like, oh, are you an Indian? It's like, I'm not going to say no. Like, I'm not going to say anything, honestly.
Oh, my God. 2 more questions.
Ooh, 2.
The first one is, Phobius, I mentioned this on the regular portion of the pod, but Phobius is building a brand new haunt, for next year. With like an indoor, it's in the same location as they are now, right? This is
Yeah,
a
they're not,
temporary
no,
thing.
we're not moving.
Okay. They're building a house that's, I'm assuming, after the trail?
I
Or,
think it's going to be in the trail.
like a trail house and then finish the trail, or?
Yeah, like the way Hayride is at Creepy World.
Okay.
In a way, where it's like, if you bought the house, you kind of go off, do the house, and you come back in, and then you finish.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It's kind of like that in a way.
Now, when that comes about and you have that option, do you want to stay on the trail? Do you want to stay, doing maybe not what you're doing now, maybe what you're doing now?
Well, it depends. What am I doing now?
Right.
I have 2 different characters basically at this point.
But would you rather stay on the trail, or would you try to work inside of the house?
I've only worked outside, so it's like I know that I like this and I can be outside and still enjoy it.
Right.
I would like to try the inside of the house. More, I don't know, honestly. I don't know if that's going to add much more to the story, or like if there's going to be a new story. Because, like this year, it's like the prequel to like what it always has been.
And next year they're going back to that original idea?
That's what
Original
I'm
story?
saying is like I'm not positive. I mean, I don't think they've really clarified that for me.
Right.
And I don't know like how much information to say exactly. But I mean, basically, we just want to keep going, make it the best fucking thing ever. Like,
Right.
I mean, I definitely know that every year more things are going to be added. But I mean, like every haunt, really. Right. They add more things, or not necessarily like houses or like themes or anything like that, but always adding new stuff to make it better.
Right.
So like this year it was like a whole new location. Oh, it's the trail. It's outside. It's different from the inside thing. And then next year, I believe it's going to be the house is going to be added back in. I think it'd be cool to work inside the house. But like I said, it depends on the story. I mean, I'm sure we've got all year, and like these are people I'm going to want to be with and like have contact with until next season.
I'm sure actor count is probably going to go up too, right? As you get the house.
Probably. I mean, I think they said this year. I mean, I'm a first year, so I don't know how many people they had last year, but I think a few people have been added, or a good chunk of people have been added. I mean, it's a mile-long trail.
True.
We need it. And personally, it's like I'm probably going to try to recruit some people because I think it's a good thing to be a part of, especially if you have the time and availability and especially the passion for it.
Right.
So, I mean, like, I can probably find some people. I'm not going to try to like tell people to like leave other haunted houses that like I know, but I'm sure, like I told you, I tried to get that one guy to work with me, but then he was like, oh, I found another job like 2 days later. And I was like, oh, that's fine. Like,
Right.
no worries. I mean, if it's something you want to do, it's cool.
All right, so final question. As a customer of haunted houses, and a customer going to Phobius, and now this is you who's been to a lot of haunted houses. You've been around this area, you've been to Chicago haunts, a few others. What do you think is the draw for Phobius, for somebody going there? What is something that, if you could tell somebody this is why you should go, what is that thing?
Just one thing?
Just one thing.
No!
The best thing.
The best thing.
What's your hook? You got to have a hook.
Oh my God, you can't put me on the spot like this. There's so many good things about it, though. I think I'm going to go with people should attend Phobius. Because everybody who is a part of it is indeed passionate about it. Because I can sit here and say, oh, you know, it looks cool. Oh, there's a story. But literally there's a story because this person was passionate about writing it.
Right.
It looks cool because we were passionate about creating something cool. The acting is great because everybody in there is passionate about scaring people.
You feel like you're not going to, if somebody goes, they're not going to find somebody who's just like kind of going through the motions.
Right.
Right. You're not going to, like what you would find at like some kind of big giant haunt. Mm-hmm. You're not going to, find like, oh my God. you're not going to find somebody who's just kind of just like standing there or just like kind of pops out
blowing
like,
you with a leaf blower.
Yeah, right.
Like,
something silly. Like everybody is.
I feel like everybody goes all out.
They're invested in the growth, so they're invested in giving you the best experience. Mm-hmm. Okay, fair.
I feel like that is because I couldn't decide on one thing, and I was like, it's really the people behind it all.
Well, thank you so much for sitting for this interview.
Thank you.
And I hope anybody who's in the area goes to check out Phobius because it is a pretty cool spot. Mm-hmm. And honestly, it might be closed by the time that this comes out. But
well, I was gonna say we're open this Friday and Saturday. Well, today and tomorrow. So probably not. But we're also open for an open house on Halloween, which is free. And then also every Friday the 13th, and I think we'll have a date during Trans World. I'm not positive on that. Because I'm a first year, I don't really know how it works, but yes, just follow us on Facebook. Us. I'm not in charge of anything. PhobiusHaunt.com.